Matthew Sky is a cowboy at heart, seeking a life of fulfillment and adventure beneath the limitless horizon. Now he's been recruited by an ancient order of pan-universal defenders to help protect humanity from the countless horrors waiting in the dark. With his sentient AI partner by his side and the limitless potential of his incredible forge ring at his command, Matt is the law on a new world that has fallen to chaos. He is the Forge Knight. Chapter 2. Playing Fair. "I don't know if we should do this, Sir Matthew," whispered the blonde elven princess nervously, as we lay side by side in her canopy bed, staring soulfully into each other's eyes while skillfully performed romantic orchestral music played softly in the background. "I've never been with a human before, nor any man at all," she confessed. "And yet my maidenly bosom cannot help but heave in passion at the sight of your gallantry. Will you be kind to me? Will thou be gentle? For a babe like you, I'll crank it back from hurricane winds to a refreshing spring breeze. Darling," I promised as I playfully tapped her on the tip of her nose. "Then take me, O knight, lead me now to true womanhood and claim my body with your manly vigor. I long now to intertwine your limbs with my own, to taste your mortal salt, and to feel the rhythm of your heart through my skin as you ride me into ecstatic release," she moaned. "Thunderbirds are go," I whispered huskily as I leaned towards her lips to get a little of that tongue action going. Unfortunately, no matter how hard I pressed against her, I couldn't seem to feel anything. What was going on? "Danger! Sir Matthew! Wake up at once!" the princess said. "Huh? What was that supposed to mean?" "Sir Matthew! Danger!" peed out in alarm, jolting me from my slumber just in time to desperately roll out of the way of a burning brand that was plunging directly to where my head had been moments earlier. Son of a bitch, it was another ambush. 3 elven men stood before me, each bearing sharp metal and hard looks on their pretty boy faces. These were the kind of hard looks that promised me a world of hurt was coming my way, and there wasn't a damn thing I couldn't do about it. That kind of cockiness was downright offensive. Didn't these guys know who they were tangling with? I did a quick backwards roll to land into a crouching stance and said, "Pistol times 2." I was quickly rewarded with the comforting feel of cold steel in each of my hands, as well as the welcome sight of all my available targets standing right in front of me. Now, under normal circumstances, wielding a pistol in each hand would be a fantastic way to accidentally shoot yourself or break one of your wrists. Depending on the level of recoil you were dealing with, it can be done, but it takes a level of skill and grip strength that a guy like me just doesn't have. But the steel I was holding had been crafted by my forge ring, and anything a forge ring creates is damn near perfect in all aspects. These weapons might have looked like pistols, but they were precision engineered, perfectly balanced, light as a feather, science fiction monstrosities. I could do jumping jacks while popping off with these babies. Ain't technological progression a grand old thing? If you fellas walk away right now, I just might forgive and forget this little incident happened, I said, trying to sound as amicable as I could, despite the circumstances under which I had met these fools. I was lying my butt off. Of course, I intended to gun these pricks down as soon as their backs were turned, but it never hurts to try and convince someone to make your chores a little bit easier. "Friends, did you hear this little human filth trying to sound brave?" chuckled the one standing nearest to me. "There's 5 of us and 1 of you. Nudge. Put aside your weapons and accept your collar. If you don't, we're going to make this hurt suo badly." "You sure that's how you want to do this, Pard?" I asked him. "I'm pretty damn quick with this iron." "I assure you, human, your little toys won't be fast enough," he said smugly. I put a bullet through his neck after he finished speaking and quickly took out his friends before they could react to his death. They won't be fast enough. Was that really what he just said? Was he being serious? These were guns. Stupid. Of course, they were fast enough. Jeez. Wait, how many of them did he say there were? "That's the hired," shrieked one of them as he raced bullishly towards me from behind. Oh, he sounded angry. Nice of him to give his position away, though generous, really. "Anvil." "Glah, he next said after a 1,500-pound anvil dropped directly from the sky and crushed his head into a mushy red pulp. "Beep, beep, be-deep. That's all, folks." I heard the rustle of dry grass being stepped on as the final member of their little posse turned and ran screaming for his life. You see that? That's just sensible behavior right there. Not like Mr. Anvil laying over here, trying to be a tough guy. How'd that turn out for you, Mr. Anvil? Dumbass. Too bad I couldn't let that fella go. This world of Trevanium was just about the meanest place I had ever been to in my life, and I used to live in Florida. The locals were hostile, the wildlife was hungry, and worst of all, this planet was pumped full of magic, which made everything far crazier than it had any right to be. Magic was reality on bath salts. Fellas could throw lightning bolts at you, fly, turn invisible, read your thoughts, teleport, do all kinds of nonsense. The animals could do that stuff too, and even better, they could get big. Now, I'm just a hick from Carolina, the good one, but I much prefer it when nature obeyed basic scientific principles. I'm specifically referring to creatures with exoskeletons not being able to grow much bigger than the palm of your hand back on Earth. But over here, they could reach the size of a small cottage. Damn giant spiders. They were quiet, too. So, due to the dangerous circumstances I now found myself living in, I preferred not to leave any information floating around on the methods I used to deal with folks who tried to kill me, and that meant leaving no survivors. It was ruthless but necessary. Information was power, and the more information that was compiled on me, the easier it would be for my enemies to figure out a way to take me down. Pete didn't like it, but Pete was a ring, so my votes counted more than his. Sorry, Pete. I took aim and fired at the elf, catching him right in the back of his knee. Oh, that looked painful. The way the splinters of bone just blew out alongside those chunks of meat, it was enough to make a fellow wince. The sheer force of the shot was enough to send the elf tumbling head over heels and... Man, the bottom portion of his leg went flying off. Now that really made me wince. Holy shit, Pete, just what kind of rounds do you pack in these things, huh? I asked as I stared at my weapons. Effective one, sir, was his reply. I'll say. Your opponents have all been dispatched. Sir Matthew, congratulations on your victory, Peter confirmed for me. Oh, it doesn't feel like a victory to me, buddy. These little bastards have put me in a very bad mood. Trying to kill a man in his sleep? A bunch of great, cowardly assholes. That's what these boys were, I said angrily after giving one of the bodies a good kick in the side. Good Lord, I couldn't stand all this barbaric nonsense. Some men liked cowboying up and some didn't. I'm one of those who didn't. Live and let live. That was my personal motto. But being in a place where everything wanted to kill you or eat you or both, but not in that order, it can just wear away at you. I was getting real fed up with constantly having to deal with all of these chicken shit, sneak attacking sons of bitches. Pete, we need to figure something out. Man, not a single one of these pricks has ever tried to fight us fair and square. Always with the gutless bushwhackery. Aren't you as sick of that crap as I am? I groused. I apologize, Sir Matthew. My surveillance capabilities are presently subpar for our needs. While I can detect an enemy presence within 30 feet of our position, as this incident has proven, that might not be nearly enough time to react. Oh, don't feel too bad. Pard, I'm a heavy sleeper. You still saved my neck, though. But you're right, we do need to find a way to boost your range. I say it's about time we started sidewinding these sidewinders ourselves and gave them a taste of their own medicine. Well, perhaps we could, Peter began to say, when he was interrupted by the sound of intense groaning. Oh, right, that elven fella. I'd forgotten to give him his coup de grace. Such a thing wouldn't normally slip my mind. But like I said, I've been under so much stress lately. Oh, well, everyone makes mistakes. That's why pencils have erasers and Facebook can be deleted. Sorry about that, friend, I told him as I took aim. Let's get you going where you're going, okay? Wait, human, stop, he begged. We were mistaken. We thought you were one of our master's runaway pets, he wheezed. What? I asked him in confusion. You mean to say you're not after that damn bounty on my head? No, we're no bounty hunters. We thought you were a runaway slave. Our master sent us here to retrieve his missing property. We thought you were a member of their group. Bullshit, I said as I prepared to fire. Good try, though, Legolas. Or should I say, less a leg. It's the truth, he said desperately. Pard, country don't mean stupid, I said to him derisively. I believe you about the slave thing, but if you really thought I was one of them, you wouldn't have tried to brand my forehead. Be honest, you and your buddies saw a lone human out in the wild and decided you'd steal yourselves some extra horseflesh to trade, didn't you? Well, pardon my language, but fuck you. We weren't going to kill you, he sobbed. Nah, you were just going to put me in chains for the rest of my life and work me like a dog till I died. You dirty piece of shit. You know, you really suck at giving reasons to spare your life. Why not tell me you planned on gang raping my little sister while you're at it? There's more of us nearby, hunting those slaves, he yelled. How many? I asked. 7 more. They'll surely have found them by now. Spare my life and I'll... Bang. No thank ye. I turned away from the fresh corpse and sighed. Looks like I had a job to do. What do you think, Pete? Feel like playing Harriet Tubman with me? It would be my honor, Sir Matthew, Pete replied, as chipper as ever. Glad to hear it, but we're going to do some prep work first. You and me. We're creatures of logic and reason. Time to show these LARPers how super science gets shit done. You know, being a Knight Inceptor was a lot like being MacGyver, minus the awful 80s hair and having to build everything from scratch. I might have only had a 1-word limitation on the things I could create, but I could use my ring's combined command to come up with all sorts of useful combinations. Example, drone. Look at that. I have a drone now. It can't do crap, and it's just taking up space, but it's a start. Next, it's drone plus propellers X2. Whoa, now look at that. Now I have a flying drone. Next, I made a camera. And because Pete is such a meticulous crafter, I didn't even have to make a request for infrared. He just added it to the device on his own. Bless his heart. Now I combined my flying drone with that camera and received a brand spanking new surveillance drone. Very cool so far. I was definitely pleased with what we had. Next, I slapped on a transmitter which Pete could pick up on. Then I saved my design, placed it in my favorites folder, and had Pete make 4 more of them. All right, Pete, send them up, I said to him, which he promptly did. And would you look at that? These slick-looking things cutting through the air with glorious mechanical precision, relaying all manner of information directly to Pete, which he could then give to me. Aerial superiority. Suck on that, Narnia. How far out can you see now, buddy? I asked him, trying not to sound too eager. Per camera, 3,000 feet away in daylight, 300 feet at night. And you can keep them up indefinitely. Of course. It's not as though they were being powered by electrical batteries, is it? What do you fuel all your toys with anyway, Pete? I apologize, Sir Matthew, but that's a trade secret available only to knights at the rank of Trinus and beyond. All right, be mysterious then, I said. But still, I'd say our days of being jumped on by cowardly sneaks are now well and truly done. Wouldn't you agree? It has now become considerably difficult to escape my gaze. Sir Matthew. Hell yeah, boy. Now let's go play with our new toys. Where are the rest of those fools? Winan asked plaintively as the sun broke free of the remnants of the night and began its slow rise into the morning sky. We were supposed to have met up by now. If they've gotten themselves lost, I'm not wasting my time looking for them. They wouldn't make good company anyway, laughed Relil, his second in command. The idiots missed out on catching every one of these runaways. It won't be a very good payout for them, will it? Good luck for us, poor fortune for them. True enough, Winan nodded with a smirk. You bastards! You monsters! Let us go! Let us go! Shouted one of their captives, a burly-looking man with a thick red beard. He'd been a challenge to bring down, surprisingly ferocious for a mere human. Winan was glad the creature's spirit hadn't been broken yet. He needed something to keep himself amused for the long trek back to the estate. Only speak when spoken to, brute, and never a moment before, he said, backhanding the man across the face as he spoke. A line of blood trickled down the man's chin, which brought a smile to Winan's lips. Undaunted by this violence, the human continued to shout, Your master had no right to seize us as property. We're free citizens of Aranth. You bastards violated our borders and raided our village. We have every legal right to return to our home. Ah, the arrogance of the creature. To dare presume it had rights. Winan could not let such ignorance continue unchallenged. Walking past the man, he carefully examined the other TW prisoners before selecting a small child who gazed at him fearfully behind the leg of the adult female it clung to. Yes, this one shall serve, he thought to himself. Fast as a snake, Winan seized the child by its throat and lifted it into the air, where it struggled weakly against his powerful grip. You have no rights, animal. None beyond which your superiors grant you. Humanity is dust, and dust is trod upon. "Let the girl go," the man yelled. "Do not command me, beast," Winan warned him. "Or would you prefer I unleash my ire on this innocent little whelp? I have no compunctions about removing its tongue, its eyes, its heart. Continue to press me. See what comes of your pointless defiance. Go on. Test me." The man choked on his anger, furiously silencing himself in order to protect the child. Winan smiled in amusement. He loved the feeling of asserting himself over lesser beings. The sensation was bliss itself. That was the main reason he enjoyed working in this industry. Depriving others of their freedom and gradually stamping out their will to resist, it soothed every sadistic urge in his blackened soul. "Good, brute. Very good," Winan said as he lowered the sobbing child back to the ground. "Now, what say you apologize for your misbehavior?" My boots are dirty. Chasing you filth down got them all covered in dirt. Isn't that awful? Won't you please clean them for me?" I'd prefer you use your tongue." The slave hunters all cackled at their leader's cruelty as the human male forced himself reluctantly to his knees and brought his face closer and closer to Winan's boot. Just as his tongue was inches away, Winan suddenly lashed out with a kick that collided with the human's jaw, sending him sprawling into the dirt. "My apology, friend. Didn't see you down there," he said merrily. "Good one, sir," called one of his men. "Damn good one." "Yes, I thought so myself," Winan agreed. He turned to Relil, whom he now saw staring with suspicion at the sky. "What are you looking at that concerns you so?" he asked the younger elf. Relil frowned in response as he continued to stare skywards. "There's a bird up there. I've never seen anything like it before, and it's just hovering there, staring down at us," Relil said. "What?" said Winan. "Don't be ridiculous. No bird can fly that high. This one can. Look at it." "What makes you think it's observing us?" "I don't know, but I don't feel right about having its unrelenting gaze on us." Relil turned to face his leader, now wearing an expression of concern. "The others are now far past the time for our rendezvous. Sir, I think we should depart at once." "Oh, calm yourself, Rel. I'm surprised at you. You're not acting like yourself." "Captain, please, this could be an augury. I think we may be in danger." "Danger from what?" Winan said with contempt in his voice. "Rifle, scope, stabilizer, silencer, combine." "Enough. No more of this cowardice. By our ancestors, you're starting to natter on like a frightened human cow," said Winan. "Sir, my instincts have never before betrayed me. I'm telling you, something terrible is about to occur." "Enough." "But, Captain—" "I said enough," Winan shouted, as he turned to face his stubborn subordinate. "I don't care if you're Duke Rafiniel's favorite bastard. If you say one more thing unprompted—" Relil's head exploded. That was all. One moment his head was there, and the next there was a fine pink mist in place of where it should have been. Winan found it quite peculiar. "Sir, what just happened?" one of his men began to ask. Then his head burst apart too, as did that of another man. And then another, and then another. 5 elves, all proud and capable warriors, each with centuries left of life left to enjoy, all snatched away by the Reaper within breaths of each other. That wasn't right. That wasn't how life was supposed to be. This was how prey was treated. Winan wasn't prey. He was a warrior. This wasn't fair. "Winan, sir. Captain Winan, what do we do? What do we do?" asked his final surviving subordinate. "Ooh," Winan said. "I think that we should regroup and focus on ooh." The other man's head exploded as well. It seemed that having your head vaporized was an exclusive club, and that Winan was being denied membership. He was frozen with terror, his eyes wide, his body rigid. This was a technique he'd observed while hunting many times over the years. A cornered animal, unable to escape its fate, would suddenly freeze in place and hope its predator would simply walk away. H, Winan rasped. Then he screamed in pain as something tore through the air and ripped off one of his ears. As he squealed and covered the bloody sliver of remaining tissue with his hand, another shot took out his other ear. The elf dropped to his knees, screaming in agony, and clutched at the sides of his head. From the distance, a masked man in rumpled clothing, wearing a red cloak that billowed in the breeze, approached him. Over his shoulder, he carried a strange rod of some kind. This man, This man had been the one to murder his men and mutilate him. A human, a godless wretch of a human. "Howdy," the stranger said in a friendly tone of voice. Winan couldn't hear anything he said. That didn't matter. "Bastard thing! Murderer! Coward!" he cried out. "I am Winan Lorathair, Winan the Wyvern. You will not be the one who brings me low. I've caught and collared 1,000 of your kind. 10,000, countless. I am a god compared to you. My name will be remembered throughout all of history." Okay. "You will lay here rotting and forgotten. You scum! You filth! But first I will take my time avenging my brethren. I will carve remorse into your very flesh in bare inches. Do you hear me? Prepare yourself! Prepare yourself! Prepare yourself!" With that final shriek of unhinged fury, Winan launched himself at the human, daggers out, bloodlust and anger contorting his once handsome face into a nightmarish configuration of madness and hatred. The human stood his ground, but did not point his weapon at the elf. Instead, he said a single word, and then waved farewell. When Winan was but a step away from his target, he was smashed into the ground. His head had been crushed under the enormous weight of an anvil. The stranger turned to the runaway slaves and asked, "Did he say his name was Winan? He should probably change it to Lawson. Right? Right?" And then he slapped his leg and began laughing uproariously. The now freed slaves could only stare in bewilderment. The Forge Knight,